Hello, everybody, and today we are making a camping tent out of corrugated cardboard boxes. You're going to need about 20 or so corrugated boxes, and the first thing you're going to do is split them apart, like you just saw me do there. You can pretty easily rip them apart where the glue seam is. And what I'm doing here is I'm laying them down and I'm using hot melt glue to create a large sheet of corrugated where on the bottom layer, the boxes are laid out going left to right, and on the top layer, the boxes are lined up going up and down. And this is going to create kind of a weave or a patchwork that's going to end up being a rigid, strong sheet of corrugated. This is going to make the side wall of your tent, one of the side walls of your tent. So here I am, I'm just applying glue, gluing them together, and you can use any glue or tape as long as you can get these pieces all to stick together. And you can see once you get those boxes going in two different directions and everything's glued together, you have a nice solid sheet. You can overlap the boxes and whatnot, but the important thing is you want to try your best to get two sheets made for the sidewalls that are roughly the same size. So here I am. I'm just doing the same thing I just did in the first step. You can use any size boxes. Anything works as long as you just layer them up and um, get that strength that you need by gluing them together. So you can apply the glue to the box. You can apply it to the sheets underneath. It doesn't really matter. Just get them stuck down. And after you get all of this stuff down, what you're going to want to do is make sure that the sheet is strong. So you're going to lift it up and give it kind of a wiggle and check to see if there's any loose spots or if there's any spots where it's trying to bend. And if there are any spots that are weaker or trying to bend, just glue another box on and it's going to act like a patch and it's going to strengthen that whole sheet up. The third piece that you're going to want to make is the same method, but it's going to be a little bit smaller because this is the floor of your tent. So the two sidewalls need to be taller, so they're a bit bigger, but they're the same length pretty much as the floor. The floor is just a little narrower. So you might want to measure how much space you need to lay down and go based on that. This tent that I'm creating right here is big enough for an adult. So if you're making this for a smaller person, you can definitely use less boxes and a smaller overall size than what I'm using here. So again, same method, cross corrugation for the boxes. You can see I've got some hanging over the end there, but in a minute you're going to see I'm just going to use some scissors to trim this sheet up and square it off. So here we go. Now, be careful when you're using scissors. Be careful when you're using hot melt. Um, Always do projects like this with adult supervision. Um, but once you've got all the three pieces made, the next step that you're going to do is you're going to lay them down on top of each other. And you can see I'm tacking the two pieces together, the two side walls I'm tacking together. And what I'm doing there is I'm creating the top seam of the tent. This is going to be the peak of the tent. So I'm putting a piece of tape and rolling it over, and I'm going to reinforce that piece of tape just so that it doesn't come apart on me. I'm going to add a couple extra layers. And once I've got that top seam done, I've got a nice hinge, and here I am. I'm just going to trim up the bottom again. If it proves to be a bit too thick to use your scissors, again, make sure you do this safely, but you can use an X-Acto knife. Um, Always safety first. But now you've got a piece, basically an A-frame built. If, again, you find any places that are weak, more glue, more boxes, everything will rigidify. So here we go. We've got the two sidewalls made, and I'm going to attach it to the bottom of the tent. I'm going to just lay it down. I'm going to tack it down the one side wall to the bottom of the tent. I'm just overhanging that over the table so that I can get access to it. Erect the other side of the tent, the other side wall. Place some pieces of tape underneath the floor so that when you pull the sidewall down flush with the floor, now you can just lift the pieces of tape up. And there you have it, a completed corrugated tent.